I'm Jim Turner, and welcome to DLife TV Online. It's going to be a great show in a new place. We'll be here Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, with new shows about living your DLife. Every week we'll be sharing insights, recipes from the DLife kitchen, stories about real people living and achieving with diabetes, and so much more. We're glad you're here. Now on with the show.
College basketball superstar Adam Morrison is more than just a hero on the court. Morrison is also a superstar in the battle against diabetes. Top NBA draft prospect and the newest addition to Team USA has scored the admiration of thousands of people with diabetes who named him #1 choice among this year's DLife Top 10, making a difference in diabetes. During games, in between amazing sports fans, Adam made monitoring blood sugar and insulin injections seem as normal as a drink of water.
I don't really see myself as a role model in that sense, but, I know I am. And, the biggest thing about diabetes is you're normal like everybody else if you take control, and that's how I feel. But, if I'm an inspiration to other people, like I said earlier, I'm glad to be one.
The DLife Top 10 pick plans to do a lot more than just pursue a career in professional sports.
My father runs a charity basketball event that benefits American Diabetes Association, so hopefully I can help out with that and help it grow. And, eventually I want to start a foundation, but, I got to take care of some other things. And, but I'll, definitely do my part to give back and, help out and make awareness, a lot better in America and beyond, hopefully. Everybody has doubts, and no matter what you do, but if you just take care of yourself and eat right and listen to your doctor, you're going to live a normal life. And the technology today is unbelievable, so you just got to take care of yourself, and don't be afraid to ask questions, and don't be shy about it, because it's nothing to be ashamed of.
This is Rick Mitchell.
DLife first met Brandon Morrow in 2009. A highly touted first-round draft choice, struggling to find his place with the Seattle Mariners, even spending some time in the minor leagues that season. There was even some lingering whispers that his battle with diabetes may have been affecting his ability to pitch in the major leagues. A short 2 years later, having since been traded to the Toronto Blue Jays, Morrow has gone from prospect to the club's #2 pitcher.
I think it's a blessing that I was traded over to Toronto and for them to give me the opportunity to be in the rotation full-time.
In his inaugural season with the Jays, he turned in arguably one of the year's best performances, missing out on a no-hitter with 2 outs in the ninth and striking out 17 along the way.
17 strikeouts, 1 hit, first career complete game.
I think it's a great feat on its own, besides the fact that I'm diabetic. I in my baseball career, I try to downplay that fact, and hopefully people would focus on me as a player and say, that was a great game for a baseball player, not just a great game for a diabetic.
Morrow was in his groove that day, and he pitched the game of his life. But it started out like every other day.
I carry the same routine through every day that I starting with when I wake up. I sleep in, of course, and then I wake up and I have something with a lot of carbs and some protein in it. And then I get to the field and relax for a while. And then I have my Myoplex protein bar, give myself some energy for the game. And those things and that routine just really help to keep my sugars in the zone that I want them to, which happens to be a little bit high in maybe the 120 to 140 range, but you want to make sure that you're not going to fall in low during the game. If ever I have a problem, it's in my pregame bullpen, where if I maybe tried to get my sugars a little perfect, then I might drop just slightly low.
Just like every pro athlete, maintaining his health is a top priority. His just happens to include diabetes.
The fact that I have, such a set routine that I follow, that really takes the pressure off myself in a medical or health aspect. Most of the people around here have seen it before and they're familiar with the routine. If I have a good game or something, they'll make a joke like, hey, the blood sugar was really good today, or something like that.
Morrow's former teammate and close friend Mark Lowe, who was diagnosed with type 1 in 2008, was traded before the 2010 season to the Texas Rangers. Despite the change in geography, the two keep in touch via texting and talking on the phone as often as possible.
Mark's he's quite a character and got a great personality, but when he was diagnosed, it was, it brought us pretty tight together, and, we shared that bond and helped each other out.
Brandon is also reaching out to children. Last year, he hosted a camp with minor league player Travis Snyder to educate young athletes with diabetes.
I'd call them all up and then ask them, all right, how many of you are diabetic? And they'd all raise their hand, and then I'd raise my hand as well, and I think they were all surprised that I was diabetic, and then we'd get out our insulin pumps, and I'd show them mine, and they'd get all excited, like, yeah, I got the same one. And it was pretty cool.
Brandon Morrow.
My name is Kendall Simmons. I play for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right guard, and I have type 2 diabetes. My first year, you come in as a first-round pick, you make Rookie of the Year, and the first thing they say, is he gonna come back and have that so-called sophomore slump, where most second-year players who have a good year, first year, they kind of fall into a rut. And then I get struck with the diabetes thing. At first, I was like, why did this happen to me? I was perfectly healthy. Besides the bangs and bruises of football, why do I have to have something else to deal with? Basically out there fighting for my life. When you're an athlete, you don't want people to see your vulnerable side. But when you're diabetic, you're gonna have those times. Football has changed with me big time because I have to approach it a lot differently now. Going out on the field, I have to take a lot more steps than the normal players do. You have to count right and take your insulin accordingly. I've been in games where my sugar has dropped. And I'm like, please let me help get to the sideline, because I'm just like shaking and I'm breathing real hard. When your sugar drops low, the first thing you think about, okay, I need to get myself regulated. But this is in the middle of a play when you need to be thinking about this Mike linebacker walking to the end of the line. I need to get to him because I have 11 other guys that are dependent on me. And when your numbers are low, you have a tendency to try to hide it.
Take it down. You feel low.
Yeah. It scared me. And then after talking to people about it and you figure, okay, you can live with it, then that's where the recovery part will come in.
As an athlete with diabetes, Kendall needs to make sure that his blood glucose levels are normal to optimize his performance.
64 now.
So in order to help him perform on the football field, we have to make sure that he stays in the normal range. And this is different than for other athletes. He has to pay close attention to that daily.
When you got a 300-pound guy pushing on you, it makes a difference because your energy level needs to be at its peak. If your sugar's over 180, being an athlete, you are pretty much playing with one arm tied behind your back.
380.
Being a guy my size, you need those carbs for energy. All athletes do. I had to find a way or another to eat like a lineman, but then maintain my sugar levels. My protein bars, and also I keep my glucose tablets. I'm not gonna let this stop me. I've had so many hurdles in my sports life. I said, this is gonna be another building block for me. I get letters all the time from parents saying my kid just found out he's diabetic. How can you help him or show him the way that you can make it through it? I'm trying to be a living example. I'm proving it to myself that I'm not gonna let diabetes rule what I wanna do, and then to show everybody else that this can't be a problem if you take care of yourself.
At 5'10" and just over 190 pounds, Dallas Stars center Toby Peterson is not physically imposing. Off the ice, he's thoughtful and soft-spoken, but in the violent world of professional hockey, Peterson is a standout. He helped lead the Dallas Stars to the Western Conference Finals in 2008, but no matter what Peterson has accomplished on the ice, it all pales in comparison to one of his biggest feats. For 26 of his 31 years, Toby has competed at the top of his game while managing diabetes.
The attitude I've always kind of carried with me is that I have diabetes, and at this point there's nothing I can really do about it except just try to make the best of it and make sure that I'm feeling good throughout the days and able to accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. And the only way to do that is to have a positive outlook.
As a kid growing up in Minneapolis, there were two athletes Peterson looked up to.
My biggest role model being from Minnesota was the Vikings quarterback, Wade Wilson. He was diabetic, and once I moved up the ladder in hockey, another guy who had been retired but was a huge inspiration for me was Bobby Clark. He was known as one of the grittiest guys in the NHL and, just a winner all the way through, and he played with diabetes.
Before the 1998 amateur draft, there was no question about his abilities or whether or not he could take that hard check into the boards. No, any doubts about his potential to play in the NHL had nothing to do with hockey.
I think the big question was, how's your control of your diabetes? I felt like there was a little bit of skepticism about whether or not they would want to draft a guy who's not necessarily just diabetic, but who's also a little bit short, who's, had a broken bone in the past, which I had. But, you look past it and you just move on. And fortunately, I was drafted by a team that thought I could play. And
Peterson scores! Tips Madonna's shot!
Fortunately, things worked out.
Take a 1-0 lead.
I asked if there was anything in particular he wanted on the bench or available to him, and he said, occasional soda pop of some sort or anything sugar, but typically he takes care of it really well. He wears a pump.
That he does. In what many thought was a daring move for an athlete in a contact sport, Peterson in 2003 switched from taking insulin injections to using an insulin pump.
A small transition, but more than anything it was just mental, knowing that now I was walking into the locker room and I had this thing connected to me. It's basically an extra body part, but once I got used to that, I felt like it was just a great move for myself. I connected to the belt that holds my hockey pants up. It sits basically right in the middle of my whole body, so it's an area that I'm naturally going to protect. If I'm out blocking a shot, I'm going to be very careful because it's right below my stomach, so it could be pretty painful to get hit there anyway, so I'm always protecting that area as it is.
As fate would have it, the same year that Toby was drafted, the Dallas Stars also drafted another player with type 1 diabetes.
BJ Crombie, he's since moved on to the St. Louis Blues. I played with him in Iowa in the minor leagues, and then we were both up here in Dallas. It was a very unique experience. I always thought I was, so special being diabetic and playing professional hockey. And then BJ Crombie comes along and we end up hanging out and we're always poking fun at each other. And obviously it's a special bond that we have. We're both pretty unique in that we're playing professional sports as diabetics. I always wonder, would I be a better hockey player if I had never had diabetes? It's tough to say. I think I owe a lot of where I am now to diabetes because I look back at how much discipline it gave me, how much it pushed me. And to have a good, steady blood sugar throughout the day takes a lot of work. And to get to the NHL takes a lot of work, and I think they kind of carry over. Set your dreams as high as you want to set them and go out there and try to achieve them.
Score! Toby Peterson again!